welcome to this edition of Consciousness Raising Online. I'm going to jump right into this because I don't want to stay long. I want to keep you long, but I do want to give you this information that I actually hope will cause you to do some of your own research based on what I'm sharing with you today. In fact, I hope it causes you to say, "What?" Because the title, of course, the 29 African stock exchanges that I bet you don't invest in. Yeah, because now some of y'all might be on top of this, but there's some of y'all right now saying, "What's he talking about? African stock exchanges." And that's because we never hear about them. In fact, if you turn on the news, financial news or regular news or any news, they don't talk about the African stock exchanges when they talk about the stock market. So, and we know they don't teach about it in school, so you would not necessarily know that there are 29 stock exchanges in Africa representing 38 nations' capital markets, and that there's also two regional stock exchanges. Both of them are in French, so I'm not going to try and say them. I'll just tell you that one is in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire, and the other one is in Libreville, Gabon. The one in Cote d'Ivoire serves the countries of Benin, Burkina Faso, Guinea-Bissau, Cote d'Ivoire, Mali, Niger, Senegal, and Togo. The other one serves the Central African Republic, Chad, Democratic Republic of Congo, Equatorial Guinea, and Gabon. Now, why is this important to understand? Well, even today, as terrible as it is, if you asked many black people in the United States about Africa, way too many of them still think of Africa as being a country. That's the first thing. Africa's not a country. There's 54 different countries, hundreds of different cultures and all of that, okay? But there's still too many of us that think of Africa as a country. Secondly, many of us have these just totally wrong perceptions of Africa. For an example, I mentioned Democratic Republic of Congo is one of these countries that has its own, that's part of the regional exchange. And many of these countries, all we ever hear about is the terrible stuff about either how those Africans are killing each other, or the leaders of the country stealing all the money. All we hear is negative stuff. And yet, the reality is that these stock exchanges are so profitable that Europeans and American whites, they invest in these stock exchanges. And they make it their business to make sure we are so afraid of anything African, or that is so terrible we would not even want to go there, much less invest there, while they're getting all the resources. See, Africa's not poor. Africa's being robbed. The people are kept poor, but the countries are not poor. Now, I put this resource map, and I'll come back to this again a little bit later, but I just want you to think about this as I'm going through this. The Egyptian exchange, EGX are the letters, was founded in 1883. Did you hear me? 1883. It's the oldest stock exchange in Africa. And yet we've never heard of it. One of the oldest uh, bourses, exchanges on the continent is the Casablanca Stock Exchange of Morocco, founded in 1929. Wait a minute. Isn't Casablanca the name of a famous movie with Humphrey Bogart and what's that woman's name? You know her name. And doesn't Casablanca mean White House? Blanca means white. Casa means house, right? So now I might have to go back and, because they were in Morocco, weren't they, in the movie? But does it hit you that they're in Africa? Excuse me, it seems to me that Morocco's in Africa. In fact, let's look at this right quick. I got a map here of Africa, African countries. Let's see. Let's see here. Yeah, let's pull this up. Now I have to put it on my big screen. You might already have yours on big screen. Yeah, way up there in the left-hand corner. That looks like Morocco to me. And in fact, looks like that's Casablanca right there on the coast. Yeah. Now, how come it is that when we watch that movie and we see Humphrey Bogart and what you call it, and what's the guy's name singing? He's playing that piano and singing famous song or whatever, right? We don't get a sense that they're in Africa at all. Go back and watch that movie and see if that's what you get. And then ask yourself, hey, they got a stock exchange there? The five biggest stock exchanges. The Johannesburg stock market is the largest, and that doesn't surprise me at all. Let me see what we got here. Let me see. I need a picture here. Okay, this is Johannesburg. That's their stock exchange. See, that's in South Africa. That doesn't surprise me that they've got the largest, because they've stolen the most. The Europeans have stolen the most there. Second largest is Nigeria. Also doesn't surprise me because of all that's been stolen out of Nigeria. Yeah, doesn't surprise me that that's the second largest. I don't have their what you call it up, but just for those that don't know, let's look for a second. Where's Nigeria? Okay. If you look dead center at the top, there's Libya. And then underneath that is Niger. And then underneath Niger is Nigeria. And there's a lot of oil that's been ripped out of Nigeria. In fact, one of them is Shell Oil. They've had such a long, terrible history. But let's look at the resource map, okay? If you look at the resource map, you see petroleum and petroleum products down there in Nigeria. And then right next to it, there's crude oil. And up above it to the right, that's Chad. And up above that That's Libya. See, Libya had the most pure oil that needed uh, hardly any, what do you call it, processing to be usable. In fact, what is it, from my understanding, it's so pure you could just take it out of the ground and put it in your car. And then petroleum and natural gas. Look at all of that. Look at all of that oil up in there. Now, um, the Namibia Stock Exchange is the fourth largest, and the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange is no Namibian is third largest. Zimbabwe is the fourth largest. Let me look at where's Zimbabwe. Okay, Zimbabwe on the map, right? It's right there by Botswana and Zambia. It is the fourth largest stock exchange. Huh. Yeah, and they treat these countries like they are just so poverty stricken, starving people, and all of that, right? You cannot be a starving, the economy cannot be starving if it's got a stock exchange that is making money. Okay? Now, the people can be poor. United States is living proof of that. We got one of the largest stock exchanges in the world, right? We got poor folks here that's going hungry. Don't y'all see all them lines with people, black, white, Latino, everything, out there on these food lines, picking up these boxes of food? That should tell you that people are hungry, even though we got this huge stock exchange, right? And then, of course, Casablanca Stock Exchange in Morocco is the fifth largest. There are certain notable countries that do not have a stock exchange. One of them is Ethiopia, although it does have a commodities exchange in Addis Ababa. But they're looking to start one, or at least they were talking about starting one this year. I don't know how much the virus changed that. Okay? The Egyptian Stock Exchange actually has two, one in Cairo and the other one in Alexandria, and they both have the same board of directors and share the same trading, clearing, and settlement systems. And it has something like a 44 US billion, $44 billion market cap. In their money is 688 billion. So it's doing pretty good, right? Yeah. Now let me see something else here. Can you all see that? This is Ghana. Ghana has a stock exchange, and it was incorporated in 1989. It has 42 equities from 37 companies, and two corporate bonds. Has a market cap of $20 billion in US money. I don't know how much it is in Ghanaian money, but that's pretty big. Has 42 equities. Okay? And then there is the Nairobi Security Exchange, It was established in 1954 as the Nairobi Stock Exchange, based in Nairobi, which is the capital of Kenya. Okay? Now, here's what's deep about theirs. When they first started, it was a voluntary association of stockbrokers in the European community registered under the Societies Act in British Kenya. But it has since come under the Kenyan people, although I suspect there's probably still some Europeans up there hiding in it. It has a 2 trillion, whatever it is in there in Kenya's currency, its market cap is 2 trillion of it, or at least it was in 2014. It's bigger now. Okay. Um, and then, of course, I mentioned about Johannesburg. Johannesburg is the largest stock exchange in Africa, and its stock exchange has, what does it say? Wow, $1 trillion in U.S. dollars. In August 2020, it had over $1 trillion market cap. See, that's why they kept, when they so-called call themselves giving the black South Africans independence. See, the whites kept control of 3 main things. And this is how tricky they are, right? Because they kept control of the military. Okay? See, because they should have just collapsed that military, put all of them out, and started their own with their own people. You see, but the white folks said, no, you can't give up. We're not going to close down the military. We're going to keep that, because if you don't, then you'll be starting out from scratch and you'll be too vulnerable. The second thing was they kept control of the diamond market. De Beers is still control of the diamonds. And what we didn't know, and most still don't realize, they kept control of the financial seat of South Africa by controlling the stock exchange. Yeah. Yes, that's too slick. It's too slick. And of course, they told them that you can't take the land away from the white farmers either. Because if you do that, we'll invade you and we'll shut you down. Yeah, they did that there, and they did it also in Zimbabwe. They did it in any other areas where there were white farmers who had gotten the land by taking it. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. Now, what we should understand that's so important about Africa's markets, and again, let me make sure that it's heard, so you can correct people, especially black folks, when you hear them say this. Africa is not a country. It is a continent. And in fact, it has 54 countries in Africa. It's huge. It has a lot of resources. In fact, some of them are essential for the Western world to exist and to operate. Whether it's computers, phones, any of this stuff, planes. The economy of Africa consists of the trade, industry, agriculture, and human resources of the continent. As of 2019, approximately 1.3 billion people people were living in 54 countries in Africa. Africa is a resource rich continent. Recent growth has been due to growth in sales in commodities, services, and manufacturing. West Africa, East Africa, Central Africa, and Southern Africa in particular are expected to reach a combined gross domestic product of $29 trillion by 2050. As of 2013, Africa was the world's fastest growing continent, and the GDP is expected to rise by an average of over 6% a year just between 2013 and 2023. Are y'all hearing me? In 2017, the African Development Bank reported that Africa is the world's second fastest growing economy. And several international business observers have also named Africa as the future economic growth engine of the world. See, this is why I said, I bet you don't invest in the 29 African stock exchanges. And some of us said, what stock exchanges? There are black people in this country who feel that they would rather die than go to Africa, or worse, die and do business in Africa, or do business with Africans, and don't worry about trying to heal the relationships with Africans from who are from Africa or in Africa. But the white folks are there all the time, and their money's there. They're invested in Africa, while we're sitting over here begging for jobs, and they're laughing at us because we won't even go there. And now I also understand why something that happened I guess it was in the 90s. There was a push on, for a minute, of black folks here wanting to go to mostly South Africa to jump into business. They said we want to go into business with our fellow Africans, and they went over there. And many did not understand. First of all, they didn't do their homework, and they just went over there with this attitude: well, shoot, I'm from the United States. I know I can show them something. And got over there and found out that, it's so sad. It's almost like the story about the country bumpkin. They come to the big city, and people think because he's a country bumpkin that he don't know nothing. Well, that's how some black folks here went there thinking that the Africans in Africa were country bumpkins. Didn't know nothing. These African people that many of us look down on have been part of cultures that are thousands of years old. We can learn from them, and then they can tell us what they want to learn from us. Okay? No, you can't go there thinking you're going to tell them what they need to know. We need to know what they know. So in any case, if you're one of the people that today it's the first time you're learning about the African stock markets, African stock exchanges, then you definitely should be one of the first people that decides to do some research so you can learn more not only about the stock exchanges, but about the economies and other aspects of African financial whatever. And ask yourself this question: why do white people think of Africa as being so valuable while they're steadily telling us it's not worth nothing? It's kind of like what they do when they talk about African cultures and histories, and they like to say, "Oh, you know, African culture's not really that not much." Yet you go all throughout Europe and many places here to museums and things like that, and all you find is stuff they stole out of Africa. They done stole our artwork, our cultural, all kinds of stuff, right? While they steady telling them, "Oh, it ain't worth nothing," but they got them in museums and all kinds of places. But the same thing for economics. That they got a whole bunch of us that never even knew that there are stock exchanges in Africa that go all the way back to 1883. We have definitely been fooled. All right, I'm gonna leave you here, and I hope that you had one of them uh, moments, okay, when a light bulb went off in your head and said, "Oh wow, I got some learning to do," and to make sure that the younger people know about it while they're young. Put their fertile minds to work. If you're a teacher, you have access to young people. Give them some assignments to learn about the African stock exchanges. Okay? Some of these young people, they're going to be running those stock exchanges one day or trading with them from here. Yes. And as always, I leave you no justice, no peace, no love. KNOW.